So, in the Spanish learning sphere, a lot of people I talk to, I'm noticing a trend, and the trend is that we're just gonna remember a bunch of words, and just by remembering those words, we will learn Spanish. And I'm just here to tell you that's not gonna work. It didn't work for me, and if you're watching this video, it probably hasn't worked for you either. And so, for me, right, I did that. Trust me, I've done every archaic, outdated way of learning Spanish. Everything. I've done the grammar books. I've wrote a whole bunch of words down on flashcards trying to remember them. But the reason why I couldn't remember those words is because I never used them in practice, right? So, like, if you know certain words, like, I don't know, let's just say, I don't know, are you really gonna use that word that often? Is that a word that's just gonna like constantly keep coming up in your everyday life? Probably not, right? That's probably not what's gonna happen. So if you focus on like core words, core sentences to build on that you're gonna use in your everyday life, and you practice those words, by yourself, and you practice them out in the real world, that's what's gonna like make sure those words stick in your mind. You have to use them in practice, right? The best way to learn is to they said the best way is to teach, right? But even before that is to do it. So the more you do something, the more active you are and engaged in the learning material, the more you're going to actually retain that information, right? So the reason why you're not be able to retain information after learning all the vocabulary words and all the all that stuff is because you're not using them in a sentence. Because a lot of those words you learn aren't words you're going to use in your everyday life. All those words, because like in our everyday lives, right? We communicate what we need, what we want, what we desire, what we are about to do, what we are going to do, what we already did. And so once you are able to build sentences around those core elements, the words you're going to be able to use, because you probably don't even realize it, but that's what we do every day in our lives, right? That's how we communicate our everyday lives. So once you create like an ecosystem of using those words and building those sentences, you're going to supercharge your learning Spanish because you're going to be able to speak more and you're going to be engaged more. And speaking is the highest leverage activity you can do in learning Spanish. And what do I mean by high leverage? So you get the most out of any activity by speaking to people, right? When you're speaking to people, you're practicing your Spanish, you're listening to Spanish, and you're also being corrected in real time. You're receiving real time feedback. So reading, listening, well, I don't even recommend writing. Spanish we don't even talk about writing anymore. That's this new technology we have. You don't even need to write anymore. But speaking to people and practicing your speaking is the highest leverage you're going to do. Right. So if you're whatever you're doing, whatever program you're doing, if it's not emphasizing you to speak to people, or it's like they're just nickel and diming you on like a tutoring session or something like that, then you probably need a Spanish learning system, right? A Spanish learning system does everything I told you, but it makes the world your classroom, right? You don't need to show up. I mean, you could, right? I'm not. You could show up, but you want to like be engaged with the people. You want to speak to people. You want to practice with people. You want to have the tools necessary to go out and talk to people as fast as possible. Because the faster you speak to people, the faster you start stacking wins, the faster you're engaged, and the faster you become a more effective communicator in Spanish, right? And that's the goal. You say you want to learn Spanish, but I know what you want to speak Spanish effectively. You don't want to write a bunch of emails in Spanish. It's not really not a big. And once you start speaking, you can do all that stuff. Speaking becomes the main goal. It becomes the main driver. It becomes the main engine to your Spanish learning because, like I said, you're going to supercharge your learning, going to stack wins, and you're going to build upon previous progressions, and you're going to keep adding, adding, adding until to the point you don't even need me anymore, right? You don't even need the Spanish learning system anymore. You can just go off into the sunset just speaking Spanish. I mean, I hope you do come back to me, what I'm saying? I hope you do, you come, and tell everybody how awesome it was. But that is the main goal because to just basically, take the training wheels off, and you just riding marathons. You're in Mexico, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Spain, Panama, Costa Rica, wherever you want to go, and you feel confident that you can speak Spanish. All right, that's the goal. So yeah, so like I said, the link in the description box below. Get my Spanish learning system guide to put you on the right track, and let's get to it, y'all. You've wasted enough time, enough money, enough frustration in your life. You don't need any more. Just let's get to it, y'all. Link in the description box below. It's your boy Lou, man. Signing out. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.